Hi, I'm Mark.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And today we're going to be doing haggis a couple of different ways. One, a very traditional way, and then one a little bit more modern, just because, why not?
So Mark's cutting the potatoes for the tatties.
So when it comes to potatoes for haggis, neeps and tatties, do you like your potatoes really finely mashed, or do you like them crushed?
I prefer the crushed.
Right.
More lumps the better.
The more lumps the better. Is that just a textural thing, or do you think?
I think it just adds to the roughness to it and the homemadeness of
Right.
it. If I want to go for your cream potatoes, then I would expect that in a nice restaurant. But if I'm cooking it at home,
I want to get it right, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to mess up.
yeah.
So,
You've been here too long, you need to some more lesson.
so I'll just boil these with a little bit of salt and just some water. Just very, very simple. Yeah?
So it has to be turn up, not Swede.
It's weird because we call that turn up, but the English call it Swede. Because if you order turn up down here, what comes is these baby white vegetables, which obviously Rabbi Burns would be rolling in his grave, horrified. But I don't know, I probably eat more turnip during the year than, I think turnip's great. It's a great vegetable. I think it's really versatile as well. And really underused.
It has a better taste. Swedes, I think, can be very bitter.
Yeah.
And turnip has a colour, so you can sort of see the difference between turnip and potato, whereas Swede and potato can look the same. And again, chunky, rough turnip. Again, boiled in salt, loads of butter at the end.
I seem to remember when I was younger, it would just all get boiled up together, the potato and the turnip. I'm fairly certain, but I could be totally wrong. But
No, yeah, I think
but as a chef, you would never do that because they obviously cook at different times. But I'm sure they were.
I think your old granny in the Sunday dinner would shove it all in one big pot,
Yeah.
and then there would just be lumps of white and yellow.
And then just mash it together with one of those old-fashioned.
And then when you had your dinner, you would just mix it all in. So you would just have haggis, mash, and neeps, and just one big dollop on the plate.
So Burns supper, obviously traditionally haggis, neeps, tatties, whiskey, a little bit of whiskey, not too much. How is that something you normally have or serve, or?
If I'm in the house, I wouldn't really have the whiskey
Right.
because the kids. If I'm out for a restaurant, then we'd expect to have a whiskey sauce. Whether it's just neat whiskey,
Yep.
or the more modern one would be a whiskey sauce. Whiskey sauce is better.
You know, I remember I worked at Glen Eagles probably 20 years ago, no longer than that. And it was Burns night, so they were doing an address with a haggis because I was the apprentice. I mean, I was only there 3 months.
Yeah.
So there I was, my sort of long white apron, really tall chef's hat, and I promise the haggis must have been, to me, about 10 kilos. It obviously wasn't, but because you know,
it was a big chieftain.
yeah, it's a massive chieftain, and obviously you've got to walk around and follow the piper,
Yeah.
and my arms were just getting like I was just hoping it'd be over. But it was a great experience because it was a massive banquet hall. Everyone was there for the same reason. Really traditional, and I think it's great to hold on to those traditions as well.
Yeah. I think that must be every commie's break in life, because
Yeah.
they did the same with me. Big haggis, you're standing there.
And your arms start shaking
Big white
after a while
hat and
because it's
that,
huge.
and everybody's staring at you, and then you put it down and they say, right, toast to the guy says the poem, you get the whiskey and you go, cheers, and you down it. I was only 17.
Yeah.
So ginger ale please, okay, no problem. That wasn't happening. Straight whiskey.
Really?
Down in one. That was me. And you can't do nothing because you're like that, you're going,
Oh no, I remember it. But traditions are good.
Yes.
So what we're doing, we're going to boil this, turn up, and then get the haggis on.
yeah,
So obviously, Chris, haggis can be eaten all year round.
yes.
I mean, I was in Texas a couple of years ago, and although they don't get what we would traditionally call haggis because of some of the ingredients, and I turned it into almost a spaghetti bolognese, but instead of the spaghetti we used turnip, and then instead of the mince we used the haggis, which is so versatile. You could literally make anything with it. and just treat it like mince. So if it was a lasagna or a bolognese or a chili or, you know, what about you?
Everybody knows haggis, neeps and tatties, and then there's the other famous one is chicken balmoral, which is in
Yeah.
the Eleanor cookbook. But there's a lot more versatile haggis. Haggis Wellington, haggis
Yeah.
Latin filo pastry. It's not just haggis, neeps and tatties.
No, I mean, I've always described it as a version of a sausage, really, because that's really what it is. It's just, you know, there is the addition of the oatmeal and the spices, and every butcher in Scotland's got their own secret recipe, which I'm fairly certain they're not too different from each other, but they'll proclaim they are. And it's literally just I was going to say a posh sausage, but it's not posh. Far from it, but
Well, it is posh because it's traditional and it's historic. And they say everybody has their own recipe, just like every granny has her own recipe for any kind of
Yeah.
thing. Haggis is passed down from butcher to butcher, family to family. You get nice ones, you get really nice ones, you get cheap ones.
that's very true.
And there's imitations, there's real ones, but you can only get haggis in Scotland. Next step, cooking the haggis,
How long do you think that would take, haggis that size?
25-30 minutes, depending on.
And again, just in boiling water.
Yes, just boil it. There's other quick ways to do it if you're in the house, but best way, boiling water.
I like it fried for breakfast. Just throwing it out there. Bit of haggis on my breakfast.
Well, that's if you're not having it for Burns night, breakfast. And then pinch it. I've cooked it, so then you just, like a baked potato, slice it, like the saltire flag, pierce it, and it should just all open up. And you can serve it. Cornel it, dollop it, eat it just like that. Right, so now we've done the cooking, everything's ready for plating up. We have our tatties, potatoes, turnip, neeps, haggis.
So you're doing a very classic sort of traditional
Yes.
version.
Doing one you would sort of find in a nice cafe or restaurant.
And then I'm going to be doing a sort of slightly more modern version. So I'm going to start off, so I've made the potato into almost a smoked potato mousse stroke sauce. So that goes down first. And then if I can borrow some of your haggis. And then I've just cooked a Roscoff onion, which is a type of onion, and some chicken stock. And we'll just stuff that with the haggis. And then the turnip, I've just made a little puree, which can sort of go however you like. So I've just, whatever the weight of the turnip was once it was boiled, half the weight in butter, and then blended it. So nice and healthy. And then I've got just a little bit of sauce, which has just been made with chicken stock and a reduction. And then whiskey. Now, did you want whiskey over your haggis or in your sauce? And do you normally cook it first or just have it neat?
The traditional one would be the whiskey on the haggis, mainly just to cool it down because it's always too hot. But I prefer it in the sauce because it's not as
Half and half.
Half and half,
Half
do.
and half. Is that
That's
generous?
well. I'm driving, so yeah.
Right home. You maybe have my version then.
And then clean my plate, worse than what it was. And then we have
Haggis, neeps and tatties.
2 ways,
2 ways.
the old and the new.
So on the bottom we've got a smoked potato puree, or smoked potato mousse. We've got turnip puree, which is definitely not healthy. And then we've just got a braised Roscoff onion, just braised in a little bit of chicken stock, and that's stuffed with a haggis. So in essence, it's still haggis, neeps and tatties, just done in a slightly different way,
With a little twist.
with a little twist. Exactly.
Nice. Beautiful.
See, that's more of a starter. That's more of a main course.
Yeah. That's a restaurant dish that's cooked in house.
Yeah, something you would do at home. Exactly. Exactly. So take a little bit of each. Is that right?
Yeah. Try and get some of the sauce.
Well, that whiskey over the top is good. That's how I remember haggis.
Yeah. That's what we'd have in the house.
Yeah, exactly. Can't charge as much for that, though, can we?
No. But I've made it so you can.
That's true. So have a great Burns night, however you're going to spend it, or whoever you're going to spend it with, or whichever version you're going to make. Thanks for joining us.
Burns night.